tinggal daun sih bibig mo kasan jika berasa dengan tokat tekan.
I'm just around Skippable and just for this week, I'm free at home. Thank you for the and just for this week, only Jimmy Time, autograph, email, person, 770 579 I want to do autograph. Hi, we're showing every Sherif Rennie, guys, Sherif Rennie, guys, no, you guys no, just here. So, thanks for watching. This is Jimmy T, and this is Jason Brown. This is Mule Days. 770 What do you say? I want to do autograph.
Hello, this is Jimmy T with Ion Inyo. Today we're honored again to have the amazing Sherif Rennie. Welcome, Sherif Rennie.
Thank you for having me.
I noticed something different about your uniform.
Yes, so we did some changes to the uniform, a smidgen. Well, the badge, we did change the badge. So as you know, Jimmy, through my term so far, I'm all about changes, correct? So in January of last year, when I took office and I did some inventory, one of the things I inventoried was the stock of our badges, which was pretty depleted at the time. So we called the manufacturer who made our badges, and they no longer produce those badges anymore.
Okay.
So I tasked now retired Corporal Matt Graff with designing a new badge for the Inyo County Sheriff's Department, and I have it here today. We now have our new badge.
Awesome.
I don't know if those folks out there can see this, but
We'll put a big image up there for them.
we can do that. And we also put a post on our Inyo County Facebook page regarding the badge, so check that out. We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, well, I'm always big into finding more economical ways of doing things.
Correct.
I understand you saved a little nice chunk of joint.
We did. We saved a lot of money with the purchase of this new badge, and we also purchased the mold, so we'll never have this issue again. So we'll always have this mold, and we can take it to any manufacturer, and they can make our badge. But when we did price this out prior to moving forward with the new badges, we asked our old manufacturer what the cost of the badge was to make today, and it was hundreds of dollars higher than this new badge. This new badge cost about just $120 to make. The old one was close to $700 a badge.
It
So,
restores my faith in government. It says, we're going to find a cheaper way to do
right.
this.
Well, I'm all about, what's, good for the county, for our constituents, in any way that we can cut costs. I will cut those costs.
Cool. And you had another announcement.
I did. So with the upcoming holiday weekend, I want everybody out there to be aware that we are continuing with our traffic enforcement details. We have a zero tolerance for traffic violators, so be safe, drive safe.
Now, what does zero tolerance mean? You pull me over for driving erratically, give me a
You're
field
going to get a ticket. You're going to get a ticket.
period.
Period. So be on the lookout for that. Be
What-
safe.
I used to work for a charity, and they would do Christmas carols before the 4th of July weekend because many people would not be around afterwards because they would drink and drive and die.
Right.
So I
Right.
think, zero tolerance,
Yeah.
I try to be tolerant about a lot of stuff, but there's some things just put on the
Right.
line.
And with our small communities within Inyo County, traffic's always going to be the number one issue. And we have a lot of tourism this weekend, a lot of people traveling from outside that don't understand the importance and the safety hazards in these small communities with the traffic issues.
Absolutely. And do you find that the majority of the people are actually not local? Like the
Well, I haven't pulled the stats lately, but it's more on the high end of outside individuals that are violating the traffic laws.
And I finally, it was Junior Kiwanis. It was so long ago, I completely forgot. Sheriff Rennie, it's always a pleasure. Be careful out there. Are you going to be in a car looking for people, or are you going to be
I'll be behind the scenes.
behind the scenes? Sheriff Rennie, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
The badge is beautiful, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
saving money. But thank you for saving our tax dollars.
You're welcome.
This is Jimmy T with Ion Inyo. Be careful out there, be safe, and be tremendous like Sheriff Rennie.
Hello, I'm Brianna Goico, Assistant Director at the Mammoth Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Today I'm joined by Sarah Vigilani from Eastern Sierra Counseling and Consulting to share a little bit about your business. Do you want to kind of just start by telling us what your business does in our area?
So Eastern Sierra Counseling was started in 2016, but this past fall, in around November 2023, we opened a group practice for mental health therapy and psychiatry.
Great, yeah. And you guys have been members the last few years of the chamber. Thank you so much. And a few years back, we did a power lunch for our members to kind of educate them on your amazing services that are available to them as businesses, to individuals in our community. And obviously, it's a really great resource. We have a partnership with you for our members to be able to provide some HR consulting. So thank you for that. And so, yeah, just wanted to hear a little bit more about what's going on. I mentioned there's some exciting changes. Just kind of start us off. Why did you, I mean, we know the need, right? But why did you guys decide to kind of take the plunge and start this business in our area?
Yeah, so in 2016, we started Eastern Sierra Counseling, and we've been supporting Mammoth Mountain through their employee assistance program, as well as several chamber businesses have an employee assistance program through us, which is free counseling for employees of these businesses that the employer pays for. Usually it's 2 to 3 sessions. And we noticed a trend where a lot of the therapists did not take insurance. And so we decided to open a group practice and offer to bring these therapists into our group where we could charge insurance for them. And that way, patients and employees that go and seek therapy services can utilize their insurance as well as the EAP. So it's really extending the therapeutic process from those 2 to 3 EAP visits to as many as the patient, employee, client, lots of names for that, as many as they need.
And do they often need more than those 2 to 3?
Some people go to therapy for years. And so if you don't have good insurance or, the EAP is really, really great for helping to deal with something work-related or some sort of crisis that's short-term. But if you need more long-term therapeutic work, then you want to be able to access therapy through your insurance. And the other big thing that we did this past fall that has been a huge need in both Inyo and Mono County is we hired a psychiatry team. So psychiatry is medication management. We have 2 MD doctors and 1 nurse practitioner that are working with us. And they are working hand in hand with the therapy team. So we have about 20 therapists working for us now since October. And we've been hiring them, and people have been coming to us asking to join the group practice. And now our therapy team are working really closely with the psychiatry team to be able to offer patients both medication management and therapy, which we think is both are needed to really come to full healing in the therapeutic process.
And we're such a remote location. So I guess 2 questions. Are a lot of your patients interested in telehealth? And then do you have some of your team that does both in-person and tele? Because, I assume both kind of are looking, some people might be looking for in-person, some people might prefer the tele. How does that kind of work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've actually been prioritizing in-person care because we think since the pandemic when everything went telehealth, there's been a huge increase in telehealth options for patients, but about 90% of the calls we receive are asking for in-person care. And so although we do have a handful of telehealth therapists available, because some people just want that, it's easier for their schedules, the majority of the hires we're making are in-person. So we have in-person care in Mammoth, we have in-person care in Bishop, and we also have an office in Ridgecrest, which, believe it or not, has an even higher need for mental health therapists per capita. They have more therapists, but they also have more population. So per capita, they have a really high need there. And we have ties there with some of the therapists, and they have joined our group practice. So it's been really cool expanding in that direction. And we're also looking to open an office in Bridgeport.
Wow. Okay, so you're in 3 counties then. So you're in Mono County, Inyo County, and Kern.
Yeah, and our psychiatry team are a little different. It's not easy to find a psychiatrist in the Eastern Sierra. And so we have asked them to physically come to the region every 3 or 4 months. And so since October, we've had 4 visits from our psychiatry team where they come here physically, they're working out of our Mammoth or our Bishop office, they're seeing patients in person, and then they're doing their follow-up visits via telehealth. And so we really feel like for psychiatry in particular, it's important to have both a mixture of telehealth and in-person options for patients.
And how did you kind of build your team? How did you get your staff in place? What was that process like?
Yeah, so when we first got started in the fall, we decided, okay, we need a psychiatrist. And then we were able to hire a few. psychiatry members, a nurse practitioner and another psychiatrist MD. And we wanted to be able to offer our patients different types of options because different, people jive with different type of therapists, and same thing with psychiatry. You may not fit well with this person, and you may fit better with another person. And so we wanted to be able to offer options to the team, to our patients. And for therapy, therapists specialize in a variety of different things. And so we wanted to offer everything from, we have LGBTQ specialists, trauma specialists, EMDR, which is a sort of trauma process, people that practice CBT trauma work, and just people that work with children, which we don't have like a ton of people that work with children, but we do have some. We do have some availability. And then we just started getting so many calls. We just started bringing on more and more therapists because the call volume was so high and people finding out about us through referrals and through our website. And so we just saw the need and we just kept bringing on therapists, and therapists have been coming to us because they're either working independently and not taking insurance. So they're doing cash pay and providing super bills. And so working with us, they can see a wider variety of patients because they can operate by taking insurance. Or they also are maybe working on like Octave or one of these online therapy communities, and they're kind of in a silo. And so as a therapist, it's really great for the therapist to have a community of other therapists to be able to communicate with. And so this is also a perk for the therapist to be able to join our group, is to be able to have a community and to be able to work with the psychiatry team is pretty rare because they want to be able to refer to psychiatry, but also be a part of the process. And so we're able to offer that for the therapists as well. So I'm hoping that it's a win for the patients and for the therapists.
Yeah, on both sides. Yeah. Mental health, as we know, is such a needed area in our community to be addressing mental health. So, what a interesting business model that you have, and you're also, providing our community with such a great service. So,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's huge. So, how do people? I'm sure that you're busy enough, but how do obviously people are constantly looking for these services in our community. There is nobody. There are people that offer these services in our community. I shouldn't say that. But there's certainly a need, right? So how do people get in touch with your business?
Yeah, just easternsierracounseling.com. I answer the phone most of the time.
Okay.
We're working on hiring more team to help
Sure,
us with that, but usually it's me.
Yeah.
And I am non-clinical, so I am doing everything in the business that's not clinical related. And like I said, we're trying to ensure we can meet the demand by hiring more and more therapists. And believe it or not, I'm trying to convince some of them to physically move here, some of the telehealth therapists. And making sure we have in-person options in these communities is paramount to me. Our mission is providing accessible and high-quality mental health care in the Eastern Sierras. And I believe that accessing mental health care through your insurance is really important because so many mental health practitioners don't take insurance, both psychiatry and therapy, because it's really hard and they don't get reimbursed well. And the billing, they often don't get, they spend more time on the billing than they do in therapy. So that's why they don't do it. And so hopefully we can take that off their plate, and then people like me and you, where we're paying on a monthly basis for our insurance, now we can access mental health care through our insurance in this community. And we already have, Mono County Behavioral Health is doing excellent work and so much work here. The same thing with Mammoth Hospital. And in Inyo County, like the community's been incredibly welcoming to us. They're so excited, and we're working really closely with Northern Inyo Hospital as well as Inyo County. And we're just trying to meet all the demands, and we're taking the majority of the insurance in this community. We've become in network with since October, which that in of itself has been a full-time job. And we're working on the Medi-Cals. So we're going to be in network with the Medi-Cals pretty soon. And we're just trying to make sure we can meet the need for the community.
Yeah, great.
But easternsierracounseling.com.
Great, perfect. Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing, and thanks for joining me today. Again, Sarah Vigilante, Eastern Sierra Counseling and Consulting, and I'm Brianna Goico with the Mammoth Lakes Chamber of Commerce. Together, we're growing business and building community.
Hi, I'm Dustin Blakey, Farm Advisor for Inyo and Mono counties.
I'm Rosie Howard, an Inyo Mono Master Gardener, and Dustin is my leader.
Well, I don't know if anyone's quite a leader here, but we're here today because we think it's a pretty good time of the year to discuss birds in the garden. I guess, Rosie, they're migrating now?
This is the peak of migration. It's May 14th when we're filming this, and it's right at the height of migration. And all the resident birds who are not migrating are busy looking for a mate, building nests, or raising young already and needing lots of food.
What kind of birds have migrated into the garden, we might see?
Well, some very helpful ones. A whole group of birds called flycatchers, the Impidinax flycatchers, and other local breeders like western wood peewees, who are passing through the valley right now, but will soon journey up into the mountains because that's where they breed. But so many things happen all at once that we're not in charge of. Like the willow trees right now are full of catkins. If you go outside, they're yellow. Some people might be suffering from allergies as a result. I'm sure you've all noticed the cottonwood trees fluffing their cotton out everywhere. Our lawn is coated. But what that attracts is insects, and what the insects attract are the birds. And the birds will be eating all of those flying insects, and it just so happens that migration coincides with all of this, which is a really great plan. And the resident birds, the ones who are here year-round and breed here and never leave and don't migrate, they're benefiting from all of this too.
So, I've been getting a lot of questions about grasshoppers. Are there birds that will help control that population?
Absolutely. One of their biggest predators at this time of year are a big bird called a Swainson's hawk that winters in Argentina. And actually, one of the northernmost breeding areas for Swainson's hawks is here in the Owens Valley. We don't get a lot breeding, but about 3 or 4 years ago, my husband and I drove down to Stewart Lane on a rainy day just south of Big Pine, and there's a lot of alfalfa fields there. Those fields were loaded with grasshoppers. There were over 100 Swainson's hawks that landed. They migrate in huge flocks. They were feasting on these grasshoppers, just going crazy finding these. So big birds, little passerine birds, they're all our friend when it comes to our gardens.
Yeah, anything that eat a grasshopper, I'm all favor. Like,
I'm with you on that, Dustin.
I don't know how they get into my house. The doors are closed, but they get in.
Well, do you have cats?
No, I don't have a cat.
Oh, I thought maybe they were catching them and bringing them in. But something else I'm sure you're finding in your yard right now, if you have any vegetables growing or flowers that you love, like roses, I'm sure you have aphids, unless you've used something that treats the soil to kill those types of insects. My husband and I grow greens all winter long underneath a floating row cover. And so we grow spinach, arugula, kale, lettuce, and we have to keep it covered up or those things just freeze in our yard. And the floating row cover helps keep everything about 9 degrees warmer than the outside air. So those things, they're all cold weather crops. They continue to thrive even through the winter. Well, not thrive, but they grow. They don't die.
Right.
That's the kicker. So around about April, we're taking that cover off, and inevitably the plants are just full of aphids, just like sickeningly full of aphids. You run your finger over a leaf and you've got a green paste, and it's really unpleasant.
They're kind of gross.
Yeah, absolutely. But what we do is we take the cover off, and within a few hours the birds have found the new crop of bugs to eat. They will, in a 10-foot row, we'll have 10 birds. And the plants are all shaking because they're in there and they're eating the aphids. And I went out yesterday and I can't find one. And the ladybugs come too. I'm afraid the birds might eat a few of those as well, although they don't like red things so much because that usually means it's poisonous. So I think that's one of the camouflages that nature has provided. A ladybug.
I think they taste bad too to birds because I've had some birds in my little raised bed by my house. They're there for the aphids, and I still have a bunch of the ladybug larvae that are munching on them too. So,
Oh, that's great.
so I don't know that they really like them.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know
I mean,
that.
I guess how hungry they are probably makes a difference too.
Well, absolutely. If they just landed after flying here from South America, they're going to be pretty hungry.
Anything that looks good then, right?
Absolutely.
Red or not.
Well, I don't know. I hope they're smart enough not to eat the things that are poisonous to them.
Are there important things we can do to our garden to attract more birds?
Absolutely. Having a water source is really important for butterflies and birds, and butterflies are migrating now too. So a bird bath, or even a, the big catch dishes you put under a big pot so it doesn't
Right.
the water doesn't go all over your patio. Just fill one of those and leave it on the ground. For birds and butterflies, it's helpful to put a large stone in it so they have something to land on, and especially the butterflies, because if they get wet in the water, that's not good for them. So a water feature will attract more birds to your yard. Native plants, plants with nectar, the hummingbirds are going crazy right now. And hanging, let's say, a hummingbird feeder during February, March, April, when the hummingbirds are just starting to show up, they need that because there's not much blooming for them to eat. And it is an old wives' tale that if you leave a hummingbird feeder up all winter, you're doing the hummers a disservice. That's totally false. You're actually helping them. And since things have warmed up in the last 10 years here in the valley, we have Anna's hummingbirds overwintering now. They never used to do that. They left. They went south where things were more hospitable for them. But now they are spending the entire winter here in the Owens Valley. There are no flowers to get sugar from, and that's what they need first thing in the morning when they wake up, because they've been in torpor all night. When it's very cold, that means their body systems just almost completely shut down, and it's not even sleep, it's way lower than sleep, so that they're burning very few precious calories. When they wake up, they need some sugar like right away, because their wings just beat so fast.
That's like me with caffeine.
Yes, I'm with you on that one for sure.
So I've heard once, and maybe this is not true, but it's better to have your water source on the ground, because when you have those elevated ones on a pedestal, birds are uncomfortable because there might be a predator underneath. Is that true?
I think it is true, because we have a big pot in the backyard that fills up with water in the catch dish, and we have a bird bath 15 feet from it. The birds go to the catch dish on the ground. I think it's just a safer place, and there's more cover they can dash
Right.
to and all of that.
Okay. Well, thanks for educating us about all this bird stuff. I'm Dustin Blakey, farm advisor, and
I'm Rosie Howard, UC Inyo Master Gardener.
thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Ion Inyo Mule Days. This is Jimmy T with the amazing Donna Bird.
The Mammoth girls soccer team is going to join the Mule Days family and come down and help do that. Yeah, it's so fun. We're getting new groups, and I'm very excited to have the Mammoth teams jump in, and they're lovely kids, and they come down here, and their coaches and parents are fantastic. So
The
thank
Mammoth
you.
coaches and staff, they're great.
Yeah,
Really
they
highly
are.
recommended.
They are. And the Bishop ones also, but it's fun. The last couple of years we have gotten a few new groups. Also new to our volunteer group collection this year is the Bishop Track and Field and the Boy Scouts. And they're going to be taking over the Herculean task of putting up the banners.
Wow.
So,
Coach Meyer and Coach Northcross,
yes.
the runners and field and track, and the scouts. Thank you.
Oh, yes. When they agreed to do that, oh my gosh, I slept so much better that night. I just had this vision of 2 or 3 of us out there hanging all those banners, but they are going to come in force, and I'm so excited to get to work with them on Saturday.
If somebody wanted to help with that.
They could come down Saturday, 9 o'clock.
Okay, now part of the reward is When is the Bishop Mule Days gathering? Is that Saturday?
The volunteer gathering
Sorry.
is Saturday.
What
Yes.
time?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Uh-oh.
I think it's 5. I think it's 5. Yeah, it's usually 5.
Ticket sales, or how are they doing?
Ticket sales are on the rise. It's pretty common to have a little bit of a lull, but now we're back on the rise. But still, especially if you want concert tickets, don't wait.
Are there any VIP slots left?
There are a few.
A few. Okay.
There are a few.
And for Mule Days, are there still box seats available?
There are no box seats available, but there are grandstand, reserved grandstand, and of course general admission. But yeah, the box seats are all full.
Now, once again, what's that number for volunteers?
760-872-4263. And one more thing I'd like to bring up.
Yes.
Parade etiquette.
Okay, this is important because I've seen this.
Yes, this is something that came up in the meeting. So we have a giant meeting of the minds with all the powers that be in the town and the county. CHP, police, sheriffs, Caltrans, the city, the county, everyone. It takes an amazing amount of people and coordination to put the parade on and to make it safe. As you know, if you live here, there is a parade detour, and their detour spots are manned by volunteers and law enforcement. The signage is very clear, but where it gets a little dicey is on the east side of town, where people are trying to circumvent the detour. And it's very clearly marked. It takes you a little bit out of your way necessarily, but please be respectful of the parade detour and the personnel that are working. It has come to my attention that almost every year there's a few very intense encounters where people don't want to respect the detour stoppage. So keep in mind the detour hard closure at 9:30. So if you have until 9:30 to get through on your normal route, but please be respectful of the hard closures at 9:30 for everyone's safety. Last year, someone got a vehicle in there, snuck through, and caused a wreck with the animal, and our contestant fell off and was injured. So for the safety of everyone involved, yourself and all those kids down there that are going to be marching in the parade, please respect the 9:30 closure.
Absolutely. So plan ahead. Make sure you're where you want to go before 9:30, but shoot for 9:20 in case there's traffic, because there's always that as well.
Right. And you know, the parade doesn't take very long. And as soon as we are safely able to, we open up the closures. And like I said, we don't close anything off. You just have to, you know, circumvent your route a little bit. You have to change your flight pattern.
Absolutely. Donna Bird, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
I'm Jimmy T. Remain calm, mule on, 15 minutes early. Is that okay?
Yeah, I like it.
How do I get to ride in one of those poop things at the end of the parade?
I don't know. It'd be fun. Wouldn't it be fun to drive it?
This Friday,
Showtime.
summer starts with If.
If. Really?
It's the most fun you'll have at the movies.
So we're actually going to see
Definite yes.
If. Get tickets now. Rated PG.